This documentary is on Maurice Hilleman, the life he lived, the work he did, the lives he affected, and the legacy he carried. Maurice R. Hilleman was born in 1919 in Miles City, Montana. When he was only 2 days old, his mother had passed away, along with his twin sister. He was raised on a farm in Montana and lived his early years as a very poor boy. Dr. Hilleman credited much of his success to his boyhood work with chickens, whose eggs formed the foundation of so many vaccines. Hilleman joined Walter Reed Army Medical Center as chief of the Department of Respiratory Diseases, where he was assigned to study respiratory illness which had military significance, and to devise a science and strategy for dealing with influenza. His work resulted in current vaccines used for prevention of measles, mumps, hepatitis A and B, chickenpox, meningitis, and pneumonia, which have saved millions of lives across the globe. He died on April 11, 2005, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Hilleman was raised by his uncle, while his father struggled to cope with taking care of his 8 children under harsh circumstances on their farm. Soon after, Hilleman graduated from high school in 1937 in the midst of the Great Depression. As a poor boy without expectation, he took jobs in local stores and worked very hard but had little opportunity to advance his education. Inspired by an older brother, Hilleman applied for and won a full scholarship to Montana State University, where he graduated first in his class at age 21 in 1941, with a joint degree in chemistry and microbiology. He was offered scholarships at 10 universities and chose University of Chicago for graduate studies in microbiology, where, despite scholarships, he lived under worse conditions. He studied chlamydia and other sexually transmitted diseases. He received his PhD in 1944 with an award-winning dissertation which was on his research. After graduating, Hilleman decided to work in the pharmaceutical industry instead of accepting offers to continue his education. He took a position at E.R. Squibb & Son and immediately started researching vaccine development, viruses, and other infectious diseases. These can also be used to simulate the host to produce antibodies. Producing vaccines requires introducing a weakened, alive, or dead agent that can fastly produce productive antibodies. He developed a vaccine against Japanese bee encephalitis, which was urgently needed for troops at the Pacific Front of World War II. In 1968, Hilleman was active in developing a vaccine for the Hong Kong influenza pandemic. With the continuing threat of flu epidemics, the World Health Organization developed new guidelines in 2005 to upgrade pandemic plans, working with vaccine manufacturers and public health agencies. They stressed the idea to develop vaccines quicker. He worked with many scientists, but was responsible for collecting samples for vaccine development, as well as leadership of the sciences, which resulted in field testing and making of advanced vaccines. He took antigens and isolated them, and then researched them, as well as doing important studies, which resulted in fundamental breakthroughs in vaccine development. In 1968, Hilleman made a more efficient measles vaccine from the virus isolated by John Enders in 1962. The Hilleman rubella vaccine was also advanced in 1963. Hilleman took the mumps virus from a throat swab from his 5-year-old daughter and developed a new vaccine. This vaccine was licensed in 1967 and named Geraldine after his daughter. Hilleman's iconic measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine was licensed by the FDA in 1971 and is used worldwide. Hilleman also produced the 1967 Hong Kong A2 vaccine and the meningococcal polysaccharide vaccine, which was licensed in 1974.
This clip is taken from a part of a documentary about Maurice Hilleman. It is made by Medical History Pictures Production Company and posted on YouTube by the Vaccine Makers Project. This first part is quoted from Dr. Anthony Fauci. Maurice Hilleman is the salt of the earth, the frontier mentality growing in the rural parts of Montana. That's about as good as it gets when you talk about the frontier spirit. Then Maurice Hilleman states, the luckiest thing to happen to anyone is to be born on a farm in the western frontier, because you really become a workaholic to survive. You learned respect, you learned something about industry, plants, nursery stock, and so forth, and these were really crucial for learning background for science. Didn't really care at all about fame, said Fauci, Hilleman's longtime friend. The only thing he cared about was saving the lives of children, and he was amazing. You had to know the guy to know that's the way he felt. Dr. Anthony Fauci. He carried around a list at times, the list of diseases that had yet to be conquered, and I think it was a reminder that, for him, his work would never be done. Carolyn Hilleman, Maurice Hilleman's daughter.
This is Dr. Anthony Fauci's opinion on Maurice Hilleman's impact in the field of science. He then quoted, Maurice Hilleman is certainly one of the real transformative figures in medicine. I would say American medicine, but it's really global medicine, because of what he accomplished has influenced the lives and saved lives of countless people. Soon later, Hilleman traveled the world as an advisor to the World Health Organization and to many other disease groups. His amazing scientific word led to vaccines that saved millions of lives, extended human life expectancy, and improved the economies of so many countries. While he received many professional awards for his lifetime achievements, he never received a much-deserved Nobel Prize, nor the level of public or professional recognition given to other great scientists in immunology. In years after his retirement, he continued to do vaccinology and science while mentoring the new generation of vaccinologists. Hilleman's death in 2005 was reported in many scientific journals and major news media. His death was a great shock to the world, and he is much missed, but he will never be forgotten by the loving scientists and doctors of the world. In the time making this project, we realized how influential Maurice Hilleman really was. We also learned about his personal life and his ability to balance work life and his family life. He's not only our unsung hero, but he's what we aspire to be later in life.